Hey folks, welcome back to Scarlet and Great here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us, Buckeye Nuts. It's good to be back with you. Sorry that we have not been putting out that much content. We've been traumatized by seeing a couple celebrities assault each other on stage last week or so, and it has we're just shook. We're just shook, and that's all I know how to say about that. And you might say, why didn't you record the 2 months prior to that? Well, you know what? You can't tell me how to grieve, and that's all I'll say about that. But thank you again for joining us. We are going to break down a little bit of hoops news, and then we will get into everybody's favorite sport, Ohio State Buckeye football, and talk about what we are hearing out of spring practice and the good news on the way for all you Buckeye fans. Please join the party here on Scarlet and Great and help us get to 5,000 subscribers. You're doing a good job getting us there. Thank you so much. So please subscribe to this channel if you are a huge Buckeye fan and a fan of Florida Corey, myself, and Shane Larson, as we will take you on a fun-filled ride full of Buckeye news, rumors, and a lot of humor along the way. And just get your Buckeye fix right here with us at Scarlet and Great. So let's go ahead, and without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host. Listen, guys. I'm going to get him in here as soon as I can. We look at the analytics, the breakdowns. I think we're 96%, 94% men and 6% women. And the 6% of you are loud and impatient, and you want him in here right away. So here he is. Florida Corey, how are you doing today, my friend? You still have that headache? It wasn't you that was slapped on stage, was it?
No, I just got slapped by my co-host, though.
No, after enough things have transpired that I think you know that it's not even humor anymore. It's just true.
Yeah,
it's just true. You're just mesmerizing to the ladies.
Yeah,
Corey, try not to put us to sleep. All right. Try not to put us to sleep. But there's news in the basketball world.
Why don't you, first of all, some of us actually like basketball, Johnny. I don't know why you don't, but
it was my first love, and now I'm just like, I don't care.
Well, and I mean, when you look at the NBA, what it is, it's like, yeah, who cares? Yeah. Michael Jordan's gone, who cares? Kobe Bryant's gone, who cares? All right, I hear you. Larry Bird's been gone, who cares? Right? But there is a good documentary to watch on HBO Max, Winning Time. The building of the Lakers dynasty is actually a fun show, so you should check that out. Anyway, so yeah, there is some news with OSU hoops. Some good news for a change. We haven't had a lot of good news lately. We heard about Malachi Branham obviously leaving. Potentially leaving. Still a chance he could come back, but it's doubtful. He says he's a first-round draft pick. He's probably going to stay in the NBA. Dude does not like college. I don't blame him. If I were Chris Holtman right now, I'd be like working up some kind of like NIL deals, like NIL packages. Like, look, just come back for one more year. You could be a lottery pick, and we could make you some money while you're here. So you still make money while you're playing basketball. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know what they're going to do. Holtman doesn't seem like the type to try to put together these packages to try to. He's not John Calipari, but let's put it that way. And then, of course, EJ Liddell, we all knew he was leaving anyway. So you have two departures. Ryan Pedon's left. If I said his name wrong, I apologize. I do that often. You've had a lot of departures from the basketball program. It looks kind of shaky for next year, but here's some help is on the way. It looks like in the form of Tanner Holden from Wright State, two guard. Can play a little point guard, but mostly a two guard, 6'6", 185. Averaged 20.7 rebounds, 2.6 assists this past year. Had 37 points in the play-in game against Bryant. I hope I got my information correct on that one. Good player, athletic player, rangy player. He'll probably start right away. They need help with Malachi Branham gone. Probably gone, and you have these superstar freshmen coming in. You probably have three of them are going to be immediate contributors, and a couple of them are going to be more developmental guys. I don't even know what the team's going to look like next year, to be honest with you. Who's going to be the guy next year? Who's going to be the glue guy next year? So it's good to get a guy who's got experience and tournament experience, plays really well even against good competition at Wright State with Tanner Holden. They need to go get another one, but this is an impact player potentially right away. So that obviously means he'll be on the bench most of the time. So he probably won't play a lot if he's an impact player. That's Holtman's strategy. It's like, get him in there, but don't play him. Cedric Russell is liking this video right as we say that right now. Anyway, also,
do we sound like Michigan fans a little bit? Like, we got to transfer from big time basketball program, the right state.
No, he has to be from Massachusetts for us to sound like a Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're good. No, let's put it this way: for the basketball program, it's okay. For our football program, we'd all be like, "Why?"
Dayton Flyer transferred nose tackle.
Like, well, Ryan Day, I think, lost his touch here.
Right.
And they also hired Jack Owens, new assistant coach, former Miami Ohio coach. He was 9 years an assistant for Purdue, and apparently coached the bigs down low quite a bit with Purdue. And a lot of Purdue fans come out and say he's a pretty good recruiter. That'd be nice. I mean, maybe he's on the way help to get some recruiting size for Chris Holtmann, who has obviously struggled in recruiting guys above 6'7". It's impressive, really. It's like he's 6'9". I don't think we're gonna get him. So anyway, adding a new assistant, adding a new solid 2-guard to the mix there, at least it helps you transition to next year, especially if Malachi's not going to come back. So. Some good news for the hoops program, but next year is kind of a make or break year for Chris Holtmann anyway. He's got to do something next year, and it's a hard year to do that when EJ and Malachi are probably gone. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I know Johnny. You can hardly contain yourself. You're waiting for October. So,
I just can't wait for that first season tip off against Cleveland State or whoever they're going to play. So,
you know how you love those big games like that. Like you love playing. You love when the football team plays Rutgers.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the Final Four is like literally going on right now as we're recording this. I do not care. It's crazy because I used to really.
And these are blue bloods in the Final Four.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I used to really care. Now I just want to go fishing.
That's weird. What he did today too. So
I did too. Oh, speaking of which, this is really cool. Before we get into the football, Corey, check it out through Instagram. My personal Instagram, got people on there that like to fish. We made some contacts. This one guy starts. I'm having a conversation on Instagram Live with him, and I'm like, "Hey, where are you from, man? You like to fish too?" And he's like, "I'm from Pennsylvania," and He's from just over the state line from past Cleveland. And he saw me with Ohio State stuff in the background, and he was like, "Hey, you're Buckeye fan."
15, you mean?
Right, both. And anyways, I was like, "Well, subscribe to our YouTube channel." And he's like, "Wait a second." He's like, "I'm already subscribed." Hey, you're that guy. You're the guys who I want. So that was pretty cool. So shout out to my buddy Sam. I'm actually planning to do some fishing with him this coming weekend. I'm going to go to Pennsylvania. So that was a really cool encounter. Corey, we're becoming such big celebrities. We're meeting people randomly, and they already know who we are. I mean, I can barely go into the Menace to Sport tailgates now without people just bumping. "Oh, you're that guy." Yes. Here, I'll sign your baby. And this, it's maddening the level of popularity that we have.
Did you literally autograph Presley and then say, "I'm signing your baby"?
No, I signed someone else's baby.
No, you tell Atlanta, "I'm signing your baby."
I'll have to. She's also goo over the Scarlet and Great crew. So,
obviously.
Anyways, Corey, the thing we like, the thing that we gets us all going here is Ohio State football. And right now we got spring practice, as it were. I do not think they are intense or roasting marshmallows, but football practice going on in the spring. And just like every spring, I'm going to caveat this. The message boards would not make any money if they were just if they told us the truth, right?
Yeah.
Because if they told us the truth the last 2 years, the message boards would have said, or had to have said, that the people at practice, the only thing they could have noticed was the defense looks pretty dysfunctional. Kerry Combs was hanging upside down from some monkey bars, and the defense was just giving up one-play touchdowns over and over. That's what they
So that's when they go to the blogs and go, the offense looks amazing.
Yeah, right. Like it would have looked like my spring or my Oregon halftime report with Al Washington and the nunchucks and hostage situations and all that stuff. That's if they told the truth. But here we are again. We have positive news about Buckeye football, and of course, it pays the bills for those guys. We get it, but let's talk about some things we are excited about. Little known recruit that no one's ever heard of, Jack Sawyer. This guy, apparently preferred walk-on, I believe, has came out of nowhere and is shocking folks. He's we've never heard of him. He's 6'5", 260 pounds. Well, I think he was 6 foot.
Where's he from?
Winchesterton, Fieldville, Iowa. He was 6 foot 190 when we brought him in. He's now 6'5", 260.
Mickey Mariotti working his magic. Grew him 5 inches.
People act. That's how people act. When, hey, that guy's a little small. Oh, Mick will have.
You know who nobody's talking about is that Jack Sawyer dude.
Mick will have 40 pounds on him, but no problem. Like
next Friday.
You know how physiology works. Anyways, this kid, we all know who he was. We all know he's supposed to be a great, fantastic football player.
Called another Bosa was not talked about enough.
Drives a Chevy Trail Boss. He actually drives the Spec Ops edition. I think I'm a little jealous of him on that.
Too bad you're not a good football player.
He just one upped me. Like, yeah, look at my truck game. Jack's
he's
like
19.
Jack's like I'm half your age, buddy. And look at this. But Corey, he's apparently just coming into his own. Got some moves in his arsenal, and I think somebody reported a really nice spin move. But anyways, no surprise here, right? That this guy is really coming on.
Shocked. Yeah. Look. Here's the thing. We all know he's going to be great. I don't think there's any debate about that. That's why we don't talk about it because we just kind of expect it. It's like, oh yeah, Jack Sawyer's
nobody's talking about C.J. Stroud's accuracy.
Nobody. Who's Marvin Harrison? It's just
right.
No, I mean this is what it is at this point. It's like we expect him to be great. We're glad to hear he's got multiple moves. But here's my interest, where I'm wondering. Okay, this is what I want to talk about. Is he going to be the stand-up linebacker, stand-up defensive end, or is he going to play regular defensive end? Is he going to move him around like that Leo position, Leo Jack, whatever they're going to call it? I like what Zach Smith on Menace to Sports was saying. He's like, the name doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It's just a stand-up defensive end. Who cares? But I'm wondering what they're going to do with him exactly because he's so versatile. Not versatile enough to talk about, but he's versatile.
Right. I mean, well, no one's ever heard of him, so you can't talk about him too much. But
he came in as a running back, and
I think you bring up a good point because I think Zach Harrison is actually fits kind of a stand-up D end mold too. He's super fast for a D end, and he's not the biggest D end in the world, but he's been playing with his hand in the dirt for a while. So, is he just Zach Harrison's immediate backup because they're very similar players or what have you? Yeah, and I think it's just going to depend situationally. Hand in the dirt, stand up end. We'll see. I don't know.
A lot of guys there. You got to get on the field.
Yeah, and do you? I don't know, Corey, if it's going to look like we have that stand-up guy all the time or just on third down or just when we're trying to, change a pace. I don't know, but I think he is definitely a plug-and-play type of guy. I think you just kind of sit him where you need him, and he will excel.
The interesting thing is we moved Cade Stover back to tight end, right? And Cade Stover seemed to fit that Jack Leo position to a T. But now they move him back to the offense side of the ball. And let's be honest, it's in part because our lack of depth at tight end. I don't think it's just because Stover is not.
It has to be.
Defense. Yeah.
Right. I mean, look, you can't watch the Rose Bowl and.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, after Ruckert, it was like, who's our Mitch Rossi, and that's kind of it. I'm not digging on Mitch Rossi. I think he's actually a nice role player, but you got to go beyond that, right? And it's right now it's Cade Stover, G. Scott. Who's not a blocker? He can't block it with his size. Maybe he can be a difference in the passing game, but then you got Joe Royer and Sam Hart and Mitch Rossi, and Cade Stover is the guy. You could put there and just
Yeah,
knock some people down in the run game. So it makes perfect
and
sense
then
to put
catch
him
a
back
few
there.
passes. Yeah, right. It's not when G Scott's in, you're like, oh, pass.
Yeah.
When Cade's a guy that can be either, and I think that's probably the best bet. I don't think it's because he wasn't a good linebacker. There's no way you watch the Rose Bowl and go, hey, this guy needs to move back. This guy needs
Yeah,
to go
no,
back on
we all were
offense.
excited to see him back on defense, But again, I think there's more talent on the
Yeah, I
defense side of
think
the ball
that's
than there is at the tight end. So it's going to be interesting to see what they
yeah.
do with the
I
lineups
think
there
you're
with the
right.
linebackers. Mitchell Melton's now at defensive end. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with those guys. Jack Sawyer, is he going to be stand up? Zach Harrison, obviously, or Jack Sawyer, not Zach Sawyer. Jack Sawyer stand up or Zach Harrison stand up. JT's probably going to keep his hand on the ground most of the time. I would imagine he's got that kind of size. Then you got the defensive tackles to play. You got Michael Hall, Taron Vincent, Jaron Cage, and of course Tyleek Williams. And you're thinking, man, we got a lot of talent to rotate there. And I can't forget JJB as well, who could play that jack position probably because of his size. So it makes sense to say, Stover, we really need tight end play. You're gonna start. Let's just be real here. You're going to start, and you go ahead and be the leader in that tight end room. It just makes sense. But it's nice to hear that these young guys that we're going to count on, especially like when you hear Mike Hall's been dominating, you hear Tyleek Williams has cut some bad weight off of him, and you're just. Took Mickey Mariotti a year to do that. I don't know why. No, I'm kidding. But it gets exciting when you see all these young.
He only puts weight on people. Corey.
That's true. He didn't take
weight on people.
And then you hear guys like Jaron Cage, who's been there since like 1934 or whatever. He's been there since, and he literally, he's challenging JT Barrett's record for how many years to be at Ohio State, and anyway,
put him on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, exactly. And you hear Jaron actually saying the vibe is just different now. And so, Johnny, I want to ask you this, man. You've been harping on the defensive culture for years now. Do you think the way people are talking, like Jaron Cage saying how excited everybody is right now, do you think it's just player speak, or do you think it's possible because Jimmy Knowles is starting to crack that culture and change it a little bit on the defense side of the ball?
Yeah.
Dynamite commentary. Thank you for that.
My answer, yes to both, because I do think Jim Knowles is likely miles better than what we have had. Mm-hmm. And I think the defensive staff room is likely miles better than what we have had. And I also think the players would have said that even if Kerry Combs was busy just yelling at them and throwing sand at them and
you need water,
whatever.
You're a kicker. Kerry, the defense is on that side. What are you still yelling at the kicker for? Come on.
What are you, a girl or something? Don't
assume my gender, coach.
Yeah. This is the Big Ten, right? I think the players would be saying that either way, but I also think that Jim Knowles is just that guy, and the players are probably buying in, and they're like, oh, that's how we're supposed to do that. Oh, this is what the scheme is. Oh, this is
it's making
technique,
sense.
Right? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I think this is a turning point. I really do. I think it's a great upgrade.
And I think it feeds into our next point here. We're hearing a little bit of tidbits here and there about the secondary looking a lot better. I think the most obvious point to a defense looking disorganized and dysfunctional is how wide open people are running in your secondary. Because obviously there's communication is just like, it happens once in a while no matter how good your secondary is, right? But when it happens to Ohio State over and over and over, and then it seems to be the same play over and over and over, that little swing pass.
Yeah, it was linebackers dropping back in zone, but they're just guarding grass.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
it's my zone. Like, well, he's kind of on the outer edge of it. Go get him.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's my zone.
You want me to guard him? I'm not. It's like
it was guarding grass. It was back pedal, guard grass.
3rd and 12. That seam was wide open. Didn't matter. It's like, Coach, what do you want to do here? Throw it to the tight end of the seam. We do that every time. They're going to catch up. No, they won't. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they will not adjust.
Oh, because they are stubborn. But yeah, I mean, but again, we're hearing tidbits of where they're actually giving our receiving core fits. And we saw some clips today from the Student Appreciation Day. There's Denzel Burke knocking down passes, Ronnie Hickman knocking down passes, and I'm like, CJ's pretty good. Last I heard, pretty good quarterback.
Mhm.
We have some really good wide receivers, and our secondary sticking with them. And I'm going to go ahead and feel optimistic about this, Johnny.
I
I'm not saying it's like, okay, we turned it around. We're heading in the right direction. But I can go into this season now saying, well, dang, maybe they're going to start getting it. Maybe our secondary is going to start looking like an Ohio State secondary again.
Mhm. Yeah, well, Corey,
Now
I
you're
will say
so awake
this,
for
and
this.
this is not
Am I boring you, Johnny?
this is not spring ball, fan speak, right? This is what I think is a bright spot, is the secondary, namely the corners. The corners were the only bright spot last year. And think about this. Cam Brown and Denzel Burke are both, I think, amazing. I think people
Mhm.
sleep. I don't know why Cam Brown is slept on so much. It's like Denzel Burke's amazing and Brown's okay, and I'm like, Brown literally doesn't get thrown at because he's so good. And when he does get thrown at, he knocks the ball down. Like, he is fantastic. So is Denzel Burke. I think, and look, with all the disorganization in the defensive room last year. Not to name any names, I'm not going to name names. I wouldn't dime out Kerry Combs and Al Washington and those guys like that. But without naming the names of the coaches, we have new coaches now, right? And those guys were that good last year. How good are they going to be this year? I mean, I think with multiple looks and new technique teaching, et cetera, this, you're looking at borderline a Marshawn Lattimore, Gary Conley type of bookend corners out there. Borderline. Because I know Marshawn Lattimore. I think either of them can be Gary Conley. Almost no one can be Marshawn Lattimore. But these guys are going to be
I'll take two
really,
Gary
really
Conleys
good
right
out
now.
there.
I'll take two Gary Conleys, and that slot corner, it looks like to be Tanner McAllister, I believe, right now, who's a nice player. Don't sell him short. And the safety play is going to have to improve, but I mean, by all means, they should improve. I mean, it's like I'm pretty confident in Coach Eliano to improve that room, to make that room better.
Well, with Proctor being back, I think that's your improvement. Your improvement is
and Hickman and Court Williams' emergence last year, along with Proctor being back,
Mm-hmm.
and you have really nice players in the slot like Cam Martinez, who's got a lot of potential. Tanner McAllister, we just mentioned. Lance Ransom's going to be out a little while, so after injuring himself in the bowl game, I believe. So you got a lot of talent there to mess around with. So, and everybody's favorite player, Bryson Shaw, too. So.
He will be there as well. He's a player on this team. And last but not least, Corey, one thing that I think is a huge upgrade on this team, not to mention any names, we're not going to mention old coaches. We have a new offensive line coach, Justin Frye, and apparently, Corey, he is on another level. He is coming into his home. He is as advertised. He's flying around the ball, Corey. He's coaching hard. He's getting buy-in. He's getting them coached up. There's buy-in.
The light's going on.
The light's coming on. Did I mention there was buy-in? He's getting buy-in from the players. He's a great teacher of the game.
It's like, what other cliche could you throw at him? No,
yeah.
I agree.
What other the top 10 spring ball language post?
We were in the group chat. We were talking about DeJuan Jones and what he was saying about Justin Frye. And I was saying earlier in the year when DeJuan Jones came back and decided not to go pro, it was Justin Frye's first big recruiting win, right? It's like getting a 5-star to stay. And DeJuan Jones is just singing his praise, like, that's my guy. Oh my gosh, I love him, blah, 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 blah. And the group chat made a good point. Did we ever hear anybody else talk about the former coach that way? Ever? Did anybody ever, any offensive lineman ever come out and say, yeah, that dude, just my guy. I mean, he's it for me. Never heard that. Not to knock him, but I don't think he was able to build that special relationship one-on-one with kids. And Justin Frye, that seems to be his expertise, is able to build relationships. Luke Montgomery, who committed to Ohio State, said the same thing. He built that relationship quickly. And he just knows how to relate to these. Well, he's 38. I mean, he knows how to relate to these kids. Now, granted, I'm 38. I can't relate to any of them. But he's 38, and he can relate. He can. Because he played college football. I'm going to say that's the reason. He can relate to
Hello, fellow cool people.
Hello, fellow students. He's wearing Jinko jeans and stuff that was popular back then.
Yeah, Corey in his jean shorts and his New Balance.
There you go. My Crocs.
No, I think to finish your thought, you didn't hear that before. If you did hear that before, it was probably about probably spring football, and it was probably a writer, not a player. It was probably a writer writing about how he was getting buy-in and the light was coming on, and et cetera, et cetera. But no, you did. I don't remember hearing that.
He was
before,
flying around
the players just.
Yeah.
What's it? No one was even going that far. Not even the writers. Not even the four.
Maybe the buffet table was around the ball. I don't know.
We're not naming names. We're not naming names.
That was me. I'm sorry.
We are a classy group here, and we would not name names. That's just not what we do here. But
because I mostly can't pronounce it.
You couldn't actually pronounce the full name of the name we won't name, probably. So, anyways, Corey, I think that's a good place to put a bow on it. All
it's
signs
to
are
slap
pointing
in the face.
for better. we wouldn't name names because that would be a slap in the face. That's where it would go. Yeah.
Be the greatest night in podcasting.
Because then we'll be told to keep a name out of our mouths, and that's not what we want to do here. We don't want to be told that. We don't want to be guilty of ruffling any feathers, hurting any feelings. All right, Corey, you got anything else before we go?
I'm good, man. Thanks to y'all for listening as always. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Come back and see us next time. As always, goodbye. God bless. And go Bucks.